Hello, everyone. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment saying where you're from and when you watched. That way, YouTube will continue to show you stories like this. Now, let's get started. Asterisk, after the first night I heard that voice, I tried to convince myself that it was all an illusion. Maybe it was because I missed my mother so much, or because the night wind created a sound that made me think wrongly. But no matter how I tried to ignore it, the feeling of unease still lingered. Every time I looked out at the dark forest behind the house, I felt like something was waiting, silently observing my every move. The next day, I tried calling my mother to ask if anything was wrong. She answered in a calm voice, saying that she was busy on duty last night and had not left the hospital. Hearing that, my spine shivered even more. Thinking about the fact that I had heard her voice right outside the window, I trembled but remained silent, not daring to tell her, afraid that she would worry. The second night, when the clock struck 12, I heard the familiar sound again. This time, it was not a knock on the window, but the sound of footsteps rustling on the dry leaves on the porch. I opened the curtain slightly and looked down into the yard. The dim moon cast a weak light on the empty land, and I saw a figure standing at the edge of the forest. A thin figure, long hair falling down, looking exactly like my mother. The figure raised its head, its voice echoing through the night. It was still the familiar, sweet voice, calling my name, softly telling me to come closer. I was stunned. My heart felt like it was about to jump out of my chest. But I knew for sure my mother could not appear here at this hour. A horrifying truth flashed through my mind. There was something in the forest imitating my mother's voice, and even trying to imitate her appearance. I stepped back, not daring to breathe heavily. The figure stood still, not moving, as if waiting patiently. Part of me wanted to rush out and question, wanted to prove that it was all an illusion. But another part told me that if I opened the door, I would never be the same again. I closed the curtains tightly, sat still on the floor, my heart pounding, my ears still straining to hear every sound on the porch. About half an hour later, the sound disappeared. When I mustered up the courage to look back through the crack in the door, the yard was empty. There was only a thick fog and the chirping of insects coming from the forest. I tried to sleep, but the image of that figure kept haunting my mind. I knew it wasn't my mother, but something else, scary and evil. During the following days, the strange phenomenon continued. Occasionally, I heard voices calling, sometimes in broad daylight. One time, while sitting in the kitchen, I heard my mother calling me from behind the house in a familiar voice. But when I ran out, the backyard was completely silent. The haunting grew stronger and stronger, causing me to live in a state of extreme tension. I began to research similar stories online, rummaging through forums about short, scary stories and paranormal stories. Many people have shared that they have encountered a ghostly phenomenon commonly known as a mimic, an entity that can imitate the voice or appearance of a loved one to lure victims. I shuddered when I realized that what I experienced matched those stories in a terrifying way. Since learning this truth, I have felt its presence around me more clearly. One night, I heard the sound of a wooden door creaking, as if someone was trying to open it. Other times, I saw a dark shadow flash past the window, so fast that I doubted my own eyes. I tried to reassure myself, but deep down, I knew that once the entity set its eyes on me, it would be difficult for me to escape. A terrifying premonition began to creep into me. I knew it would not stop at calling my name. It wanted more than that, perhaps pulling me out of this safe doorway and into the woods, And when that happened, I was not sure I could return. Stay tuned for the next episode to find out what awaits me as I decide to try and get closer to where that figure usually appears.